Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, you can pick up a telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything. Politics, religion, socioeconomic issues. But most important, you can interrupt us and introduce any topic you want to speak on. Now, if you want us to initiate a particular topic, you can do that. We encourage people to express their views and opinion. We don't like rules, but we must be respectful to one another. We must be respectful and we must be tolerant to different people's views. I express my opinion on any issue, particularly politics. But my opinions is not cast in stone. My opinions is on my own prejudice and the information I have. And if I have new information, I change in my opinion. I like truth. So you will hear me expressing what I believe is the truth. And if you throw it out, I bring it back again. Welcome, caller.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, how are you? Good
Great
morning.
man. Yeah.
So, on the program, always talking certain things, and it's something to me, it's real, because it's coming to pass. Now, I heard you talk about the Commissioner of Police, and I heard this morning that the Commissioner of Police is going on leave, and there would be a replacement for the time. So what I do understanding from that is, you guys on target. Something is not playing out right, but it's unraveling. You see, it's unraveling, and I want people to pay attention to what is happening, because something is happening, and it's not smelling good. It's not smelling good. I hope people continue to investigate what is really happening. Thank you, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar. Earlier I said the government could unravel. The government could unravel the whole morals of the ministries. You see, politicians have to prepare to treat public officers as professionals. We're not perfect. They're not perfect. They're going to make mistakes. But when a government change, the government cannot go there and believe in all public officers is against them. And there is a procedure for government to transfer public officers. They could because of their preference. But if they want to destroy them, they're going to unravel the productive level in the economy. The Ministry of Finance, I've said that before, and sometimes I want to repeat that all the time. The Ministry of Finance have come a long way. A group of individuals, very professional, very, very productive. You don't have to unravel the Ministry of Finance. You may go there and believe an officer is not of your political inking, but that doesn't mean you cannot work with them. Most public officers try to hide their political preference, particularly officers in high position. They try to hide their political position. But we're judging them based upon their brother and their sister. So what you could do is to unravel the magic, the rhythm, you could the whole motivation. Because these officers, the question is who next? So they wouldn't volunteer information to you. They're going to keep the quarters. And some of the individuals you're promoting, who perhaps traditionally are not very productive, would have to learn to be productive. And you could cause serious problem. The police in Grenada is one of the best in the Caribbean, based upon the level of productivity. The crime rate in Grenada is down, and Grenada is known as the island of conflict. And you have a number of contentious issues in Grenada that have not gotten out of hand since 1983. it means that the police is doing a good job. It means that more and more the police is getting very interactive. You see policemen, maybe not even a stripe, but they're on the radio trying to interact with the public. That's good. I have noticed the police try to be even more courteous and pleasant. So it is unwise. It is not in the interest of the National Democratic Congress to go and unravel the magic, the rhythm, the unity, the motivation in the force. But I don't think they're going to pay it to us. I don't think they pay it. So you're going to see it getting worse and worse. While the National Democratic Congress is doing that, because they're searching for yellow blood, for green blood, they want to prosecute them. Over 1,000 workers have lost their job. The government has fired the workers in the pest management unit in the sauce-up trade. I could only believe that the government is trying to temporarily sabotage the sauce-up trade. They fired these people without warning. I don't think these people was under contract. It appears they was working directly under the supervision of an individual in pest management unit. I think it's Francis of Assisi they was working under. They fired him. So there is no arm now managing pests in Saucer. So the pests could get out of hand. But that's going to work well with the ministry because of the ulterior motive. It's unfortunate. It's sad. You know, if you look closely in your village, there are people in your community that seems to have a good relationship, but the different spouses are supporting different political parties. You have family members that move in good, but they support different political parties. You have people in the village that liming and drinking and fetting together, and they support different political parties. So I've said from day one, the MIT is Ministry of Political Mischief, and it should be disbanded. If you don't disband that ministry, in the next 4 or 5 years, you're going to see the result. And it's unfortunate, and it is sad. The government, the Prime Minister came in, he said he was new, brand new. The 9 members of the NDC was brand new. So you have no reason. You have no reason to hate nobody. You have no reason to believe that everybody against you. You won election. How did you win election if a lot of NNP didn't turn NDC? A lot of green turned yellow. So you're chastising them for turning out your fire. It is so sad. The government fired 30 persons from Granby Estate. 30 persons from Granby Estate. 30 persons from, they have 4. They have crops in the land to harvest. The government decided they want to reinvent the money program. Reimagine. For over 15 years, the National Democratic Congress has been spitting and frothing on the money program. But after 15 years, they don't have a plan for it. So they said they're going to reimagine it. The National Democratic Congress decided to close down marketing board. They never take into consideration that over 100 workers would lose their job. They never took into consideration that marketing board was buying crops from a significant number of farmers. Now, if you want to reimagine marketing board or reform marketing board, it is not necessary to close it down because you're dealing with human beings. You ain't settling books. You're dealing with human beings. You're throwing out 100 workers out of the job. Some farmers will be in serious problem for 6 months, you see. Well, you don't have to do that to reform an entity. You could reform the entity while it is going on. because things is dynamic. Change is constant. The National Democratic Congress I made a call on Facebook and social media. And one of my brother Danley asked me for the justification. I said the Minister of Finance, the government should remove the Minister of Finance from the post. That is the worst Minister of Finance we have had in Grenada in decades after 1 year in office. After 1 year in office. And I challenge any member of the National Democratic Congress to tell me who is the worst Minister of Finance that passed in Grenada in the last 5 decades. Why do I say he is the worst? There is an issue where the government has diluted the confidence of the financial institution in people, in low-income people. The government campaign on a budget, on a policy, that if you get permanent, you go able to get loan in the bank. There are a number of people that was able to get loan in the bank and they were not permanent. But because of the track record in saving and because the banks perceive, although you're not permanent, but 10 years you're working with government won't fire you. So the banks are providing loan for the people. The government smashed that confidence. They broke up that contract. The unwritten contract that the bank have with people who have good financial management practice, but are not in a permanent job. The government has changed that. The government has opened the door for businessmen to fire workers without due process. Because the government fire workers without due process. So a lot of workers who are not unionized, and in big companies now, they are the mercy of the companies. Look at what Kane Co. did. They take a page from the government book. The government had to negotiate a loan, negotiate the extension of a loan. Grenada, a lot of countries that have this issue. They have the money to spend within a particular time. They didn't spend it. You have to go and defend why it should be expended. The government snub the financial institution. They treat them with contempt. And let me give you an example why. Let us suppose you have a serious matter to discuss with your neighbor, and you send your grandchild to discuss the neighbor. You call that you snub the neighbor. The government had a loan to defend, not 70,000, you know, not 170,000, not 700,000, not 7 million, you know, $70 million. $70 million. The government sent low rank members of the team to defend the loan. The Prime Minister as the Minister of Finance must go. The Permanent Secretary must go. The Prime Minister had to call Timothy Antoine and inform him and seek his counsel, because he would have had some influence, even if it is rudimentary, with the financial institution. The Prime Minister not supposed to go in Barbados and don't pay a courtesy call on Mia Motley. So if Mia Motley and all should know why we coming in Barbados, because sometimes she have influence on that company. The Prime Minister refused to go. The Permanent Secretary, as I understand, was not. The team was led by 2 members of Parliament, low rank members of Parliament. Nothing is wrong with them, but a low rank. So that financial institution will treat it as a snob. We have the question of the pension. The Prime Minister bad managed the pension. He bad managed it. You don't take 70 million and go and pay out. What you needed to do, give some cash up front and give the rest in bonds over a period of X years. But the Prime Minister behave like people that don't accustomed with money. So they pay out these pensioners, and nothing is wrong, it's their money. I'm saying he could have paid in stages. And I understand they don't even check the money good. At first, they're busy to pay. And that is a sign that the Prime Minister is interfering in the working of the Ministry of Finance. Maybe the people who do the calculation not accustomed at that level. When you see all these things, I believe Grenada will be in a better position if you change the Minister of Finance. Remember Liz Truss in England spent 42 days in government. Why she spent these days? Because they were not confident in our economic policies. This government, if they don't have a rude awakening on the Damascus Road, they would cause serious damage to the economy. Irreparable damage to the economy. And I believe this is in the interest of no one. No one benefit if this economy is destroyed seriously or irreparably. Let me tell you some of the things that are going to happen. Government will have to charge tax on pension and NIS. Government would have to drop the tax threshold to perhaps $1,000 in the first instance. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Or everything. But you know there is a saying, a hurry but never build a good nest. When you're too hurry to do something, you leave a lot of loopholes and you make a lot of mistakes. And I do believe what the government should do, put everything in place to pay that pension. And see what happened now? What happened? Because with a hurry, when you do something hurry, you do make mistake. You give people more than they should get. Who work for more years get less than who work for less years. Because in a hurry to pay the money, take your time. I'm saying when you hire someone to do a work, let the person do the work. The person capable of doing the work. You should not try put the pressure on people to do what they have to do that. Let the person, let the worker then do the work. And because of pressure was upon the workers in finance to do what they have to do, because it's so quick. You see what happened? Right? Let the once what happened.
When you hear governments at the behave, so what happened in the ministries? Everybody wondering who next.
Who next?
And if people see you doing the wrong thing, they encourage you. And we expect government to make a lot more blunders.
Exactly.
Throughout all the ministries.
Yeah, because you have people capable of doing the work. Let them do the work. That's why you hire people. You won't hire people that are not capable to do
But
work.
the government believe only good people could do the work. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
That's why I call on Grenadians to ask the government to disband the Ministry of Political Mischief. Mm-hmm. That's all what MIT is. Mischief.
I'm saying again, one thing I want to speak about it. Okay, like, I remember in 1990, where NDC was in government, and the Prime Minister, whenever they asking something, he say he don't know. First time hearing that, right? And I see a trend because yesterday, press conference, one journalist asked a question concerning to do with the same thing with the money that they overpaid money to people, the pensioners. And the Prime Minister said, first time hearing that, he never heard about that. So if you never hear that, you have the Permanent Secretary close to you, you can find out from the Permanent Secretary if that is true.
Well, maybe the rumors on the ground that the Prime Minister is not communicating with the Commissioner of Police, maybe he's not communicating with the PS2. Because normally, these people brief the Prime Minister on a daily basis. The Commissioner of Police, but I understand that the Prime Minister bring back some consultants and then they not communicate with the Commissioner. They don't meddle with him. They don't meddle with the Commissioner of Police.
The Commissioner of Police had to take order from the if Commissioner of Police had to report to the Minister of National Security.
But if the Commissioner of Police, the Prime Minister don't want to hear him, then he become a figurehead. The purpose is to frustrate him. What he need to do, go and sit down and do a PhD. A lot of public officers do that. When you try to frustrate them, they're going to do their masters.
Yeah.
So the Prime Minister is trying to embarrass and frustrate the commissioner of police, and maybe it's the same thing he's doing in finance. Because finance was a very high performance ministry.
One of the top.
That is why you met the treasury pregnant.
Exactly.
So you have to be dumb twice and blind in one ears and deaf in the other for you to go and destroy that ministry.
Yeah, because when you are as the Minister of Finance, when you lead the workers, do what they are, they keep on doing what they do. It's also a blessing for you because you come like the Minister of Finance getting the president, you are the Minister of Finance. So
but you see, caller, one of the things Ghanaians are realizing, because the government is looking for green blood, anybody they feel associated with NNP, they're trying to avoid them. So maybe you have no communication with these people in finance and the police. That's why he's making these rudimentary mistakes.
I'm saying what I observe again, because see, like when a question is asked to the head table, right, and we check a trend like one person answered another question. You have ministers in different ministry. If a question is asked to the Minister of Works, I see the best person to answer the question is the Minister of Works.
They have a term saying you could be on a board and you're like a dumb driven cattle. You don't have much sense. You're just there to make up number. So necessarily, there's some of them are there, but they don't know what's going on in the country. And this is when we speak about political virgins. Yes, God. And that is why we speak about political virgins. Another reason again is the Prime Minister removing the money from the elderly people, 150. No justification, no explanation, no reason. They take the money with violence. The Minister of Social Affairs tell them they're going to get the money. And then she take it away and threatening them. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre.
Yes.
I'm listening to you. It seems to me like you're not aware that the Commissioner of Police is not on duty right now.
No, I'm not aware of that.
Yes, I heard the Prime Minister last night that he was effective from yesterday. There's a new commissioner on board.
I did not hear that.
Yes, I heard him last night. I think it's Jimmy and here last night. He said that effective from yesterday, Monday.
They have a new commissioner?
Yes, I can't remember his name, but
okay, I don't know. I never heard that.
He's on absent leave of medical or whatever, but he said that last night. I heard him on Jimmy.
Well, I never heard that. And I'm very careful what I say on the radio.
Yes, he said. I heard him last night on Jimmy.
Okay.
As from yesterday, there is a new commissioner. I can't remember his name, but he said as from yesterday, effective as yesterday, that Mr. Paul or whatever his name is not. He's not the acting.
Well, I do hope.
Right now.
I pray and hope that the Prime Minister don't cause untold damage to the public officers.
Yes, I have said yes. I heard him yesterday. Say effective yesterday.
Okay.
I've covered the name he called that is in active right now. You there as the time goes on.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Let me just read this individual. And when this individual is writing, they're writing under pseudo names. So they're giving all kind of funny name, Spanish and Dutch. These individuals. Your supporters cry for 23 plus years under NNP administration. Now 6 months in government with all the progress being made. Supporters as you and the callers miss life in London, eating free food while NDC going to bed without anything. We have some people on social media that they take on some different names and they're writing for purpose of mischief. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Pierre.
Yes,
how are you?
good man.
Good program. I listened to a program with former MP of St. David's, Oliver Joseph, speaking about the
Marketing board.
Yes, and I listened to the Prime Minister when he was having consultation with the farmers in different parts of the country. And I wondered why he didn't discuss or consult with the former administrative persons, yes, in the NNP, who are in the process of restructuring marketing board.
But caller, don't expect, caller, The National Democratic Congress searching for green blood. They will not consult with them.
Yeah,
Don't expect that.
Former Senator Diali.
I thought they would have. I wonder, and I'm going to later on maybe ask, what's about Roderick Sinclair?
Yes.
He was in marketing board for a lot of years.
Yes.
And he is the farmers' representative in the Senate.
Yes.
So I would have wanted to know whether he and the Prime Minister had consultation and dialogue on marketing board.
Exactly. And the consultation has to continue and not closing it down.
Well, you see, Caller, what we buy cat in bag.
Yes.
And then that is what we got. Deacon was a corporate lawyer, is that you call him? Corporate lawyer, commercial lawyer, whatever the case may be. So these people are different from criminal lawyers. They deal with big companies and it's always about getting the best deal out of it. So they don't see human beings. One of the challenge we have in Grenada, Deacon Mitchell is not considering the human beings. That's why he never take into consideration the 100 workers. When he was asked if they will continue buying in 6 months, he said, well, if they have money. But if you get rid of all the stuff, who will be left to buy? Because they're going to only leave a skeleton staff to maintain the 18 million assets that the company have.
Yeah. Mr. Pierre, I just want to, tell the NNP people to continue, B1 and Grenadians to continue engaging and speaking out on the behalf of the MNIB because it's not in the best interest of Grenada. Thank you.
Yes, Colin. I agree it is not in the best interest of Grenada, but we live in a democratic country. The government win election and they're going to make the decision. I said when the government wanted to start this consultation, it's a sham. The farmers went to the consultation to legitimize the consultation. It was a sham. The government had already made the decision. I did not hear anybody tell him to close it down. What you are hearing, people recognize we have a problem, let's solve it, let's reform it. You don't have to close down a company that have assets of 18 million and 15 million in debt and have the backing and support of a government as a statutory body. You don't have to close it down. You could reform it while it's on its feet. You could scale it down and reform it. There is no need to close it down. But you see, you have to understand that Dick Mitchell have on the budget sale of assets. He's going to sell marketing board. Look at what they do with Granby Estate. They get rid of 30 workers. Look at what they do with the sauce-up industry. I consider it as sabotage. They fire the workers that involved in pest management. While you have, I think, is a scaly disease, insect, or whatever the case may be, on the rise. Once you cut off these people, it's going to spread like wildfire. We have a market there. The government never met with the source-up exporters after 6 months in office. And the word that's floating around the ground, that marketing board and the source-up industry and the fish industry, one man trying to control it. This is the reality. And that is why I say the time has come to have a new Minister of Finance. That is the most amount of unemployment coming after 1 year of a government in 50 decades. In 50 decades, 5 decades. Not 50, but 5 decades. For over 50 years. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
I may want to switch a bit on that part.
Go right ahead, man. Switch any way you want to.
Yeah, I want to call on behalf of Mr. DeBog. It's something that we're not hearing anything about Mr. DeBog. And I believe he had made some contribution to Grenada. And I feel that he have an ill health now, so I want to call on somebody to release that man from prison.
I am in full agreement with you, sir.
When I look at it from Sotes, St. David's go right down to town to have a bank. They close all the bank from Sotes, go down to the next bank is in Guab. You know, and I look at this man. You know, I feel hot when I look at the building down there. I lost a little bit of money inside it, but I don't mind. Mr. Holycost is collecting all the money from Mr. Debug. Who have information, I would like them to come and tell us why a man is taking all the money. Nobody saying how much money that they owe the Debug Bank, but the man is rotting in jail.
Yes, caller, I agree with you, caller, and these topics I would like to speak about because it's very
Because there are
interesting
people
topic.
who kill people and they're walking out in the street today. So I just showed that, Mr. Pierre.
Yes,
I'm
thank
very
you.
serious about that. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, caller. And I will make a few comments on Debug. The fact that Debug started a local bank was the annoyance of a lot of Grenadians. They didn't want that happen to happen. And Debug started the bank legally. And the ECCB, when they did not give Debug clearinghouse facility, it challenged them in court. And for 7 years, the case never tried. He was convinced he was on the right track. For 7 years, the case never tried. So yes, he made blunders. But we had no confidence in our people. We never give him support. And we watch him like a hawk, ready to pounce on him in the same way NDC pounce on the elderly people. I've said before, we have growing confidence. It's so easy for us. We have difficulties in having confidence in our own people. So Debug start a local bank, and that was the annoyance of a lot of people in Grenada. And Dwight Venner, I never agree with Dwight Venner under that. And the court never bother with Debug. And they sent him to the doghouse. Yes, he made blunders and mistakes. And now they're collecting the money and they're enjoying. I always say to people, I'm not an angry man with the Europeans for slavery. The black man sold slaves. The black man sold his people. I am not able to meet people yet that prepare to discuss why is it that every time the NDC come in power, the first people they affect is the elderly, the physically challenged, the marginalized, and the e-money. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Debugger.
Yeah, man.
Sorry, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, man.
How are you?
Great, man.
Mr. Debugger, Mr. Pierre, I really understand what that man just said concerning Mr. Debugger. He was a wonderful man, and he made banking more accessible for a lot of young people, first-time bankers. They was able to open a bank account. I know a lot of young people who wanted to open an account in Carriacou, and they would not give them a chance even to open an account. And Debug make it possible for a lot of young people to invest their money in his bank. Although I lost a substantial amount of money too in his bank, or family did. But at the end of the day, he's a man of the soil, and they should have supported him, and they have no right to let him rot in jail. People should stand up for him. But we Grenadians only looking for lies and deceit. That's all they're looking for. And we the people, we have to make a call. Make a call. Tell them to release Debug on ill health issue. They should release him. If his health is no good, have sympathy. He's a human being, and he was doing well for the country. Everywhere you go, you make it possible to put a bank in every local area to help people. Because I know lots of people couldn't get loan to do anything, and thank God for Capital. The bank, is it Capital Bank they call it? The bank, they used to go in and they used to get loan from there, and they could be better themselves. So right now, it's a cry for help. Help him if they can. Help him. Have a nice day, Mr.
Yes, Color the banks, the credit union. The credit union is Grenada. Some workers don't realize it. It's difficult to open an account in the credit union. It's difficult to open an account in the bank. And a couple days ago, a call on NIS is taking advantage on people in the informal sector. NIS, some people are going to doctor and they can't get their sick leave because of NIS policy. I call on the Minister of Agriculture because he called the people who involved in pre-deal larceny idiots and lunatics. I don't agree with him. But I really want him to know how you call NIS management. And this is the challenge we have in Grenada. The unions are not to be blamed, are not to escape blame in this marketing body issue. The unions represent the workers in marketing board. And over the years, the unions could have an input because they're sitting down in negotiation with workers. So unions have to be more proactive and seek the interest. The unions are represented on NIS board. They are represented on NIS board. The unions have not lobbied government to keep marketing board. They're going to sacrifice 100 workers. And the union had to be dumb twice because you're losing the only source of income you have is through membership. And when a new entity comes, they won't want union. That is where we're going, So the union should be fighting for the survival of marketing board. The union should be coming up with ideas years now for the better performance of marketing board. The union should be active in the consultation with the government. But I always say to people, nothing is wrong with unions get involved in politics. But the unions must always seek the workers' interests, not the interests of the political party. Not the interests of the political party. And I continue to advance that Deacon Mitchell is a fake. He gave the impression that he was a socialist. He gave the impression that he was a socialist. He got the support of Grenadian communists in America. Because all Grenadian communists, they're in America. They're not going in Cuba, They're in America. They give Deacon Mitchell the support. Deacon Mitchell tried to evoke Maurice Bishop's spirit. He go in Cuba, perhaps to hug Daniel Ortega, and then he sell marketing board. No, he is no socialist. This is a hard rock capitalist, a corporate lawyer. He don't have not one dram of socialism in him. But he is prepared to use the momentum for his popularity. I watch him play jab. He don't whine. He don't juke. He don't move a muscle. He don't tweet his face. And he refused to tell the young men of the country, don't play with oil. Because oil, based upon the medical doctors, could have serious negative consequences in the next 20, 30 years on your skin. When our jab were playing with oil for 2 or 3 days in the year, the body could recover that. But now they're playing jab every week. They're going in Tobago and play jab. They're going in Trinidad and play jab. Deacon Mitchell play jab. Deacon Mitchell is giving the impression that he is health conscious. So he raised the price on sugar and dropped the price on condoms. But he played jab. And he would not call on the young men of today, not to play jab with oil. I'm not saying they're going to heed his calling. It's going to take years. But the elders in our society, the medical personnel, have to make the call. There is a substitute. You can use charcoal with oil. and you can get, even if not a perfect, but a similar result. Because the substance you're using on your body is waste. And the regularity with which you're using it could contribute to serious health hazards. Now, this is the reality we're in. This is the life we have here. And we have to do more to change it. All of us. Not every subject matter is about green and gold, red and yellow. Not every subject matter is about green and yellow. Not every subject matter you discuss, people responding to you have to personalize the story. So I speak on radio, so you tell me about my whole family. We could stick with the subject matter. We could discuss issues, and we could come up with solutions to solve and address our problem. Remember what the Minister of Labor, the Attorney General, she said we could cause serious damage, irreparable damage to the economy. From the time the NDC come in power, it's only tears in the eyes of the marginalized. Over 1,000 persons lost their job. 100 from MNIB. 100 for MNIB have to go home. 8 from the pest management unit involving Source Up. 30 from Paradise Estate. And the government continue, while the government give tax concession to taxpayers. And they have a whole cadre of advisors that they pay nice little sums. Someday we're going to ask for the list. The government said within 6 days, 1,500 people volunteer to serve on boards and other areas. Now, from that group, no one suggested to government that we could address the challenges of marketing board without closing it down. Nobody is not saying you shouldn't reform it, but do you have to close it down and fire over 100 workers? Maybe you could have asked for those who want to go. Some of them would be close to retirement age. You could have offered them retirement. And the last 2 coming could have gone out. 100 workers lost their job. Look at it. What is going to happen to the economy in Grenada is going to contract. You lose 70 million because you refuse to send the necessary people to defend it. You snub the people. You insult the financial institution. Though I think the best thing that could happen now, the Minister of Finance must go. We need a new Minister of Finance. He lacked the ability, he lacked the capacity, he's unable to do the job. And he overpay one sector of people, and he minus pay in one sector. And this is a good time for him to have a rude awakening on the Damascus Road. Because this is Valentine Day. Happy Valentine, everybody. As we celebrate this day in our country and family and the world, let us encourage one another to share love, promote love, proclaim love, manifest love. Because God himself is love. Do not mash up love and destroy love, but rather celebrate love. Because all of us are called to celebrate. I wish you a pleasant Valentine Day. The color of Valentine is red and white. But if you are pink, that's good too. When you mix red and white, you get pink. And it's a good thing to share love. You love people, you like things. Yesterday we talked about a different type of love. We must prepare. Grenadians mustn't afraid to give somebody a flowers. The Minister of Agriculture, you don't seem to be making sense. I want to suggest to you that for next year, Valentine, I believe you go there still. God's will. You could start a program in the ministry. You could ask those who want to volunteer for a man to give a woman a flower. You could do it randomly. You put in money and budget for it. Buy local flowers. Make the necessary arrangement and encourage natural flowers. Encourage the women to walk the street with the flowers. Don't hide it in black plastic bag. Because the men say they're willing to give flowers, but women don't want no flowers. They say give them money, give them jewelry, bring them out where they could drink some liquor, or give them some the chicken a lot of people has lined up for. They prefer that. But you see, Valentine is also commercialized. And a whole industry could rise. The flowers industry could get a big boost if we celebrate and commercialize Valentine. And it could be a good project of the Ministry of Agriculture. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar.
Well, Valentine, Mr. Andy Williams is Valentine because he's acting Prime Minister from today until Saturday.
Where the Prime Minister gone again?
Some heads of something in the Bahamas.
But the Prime Minister refused to go in a meeting when 70 million was at stake.
Anyhow, a lot more to say about
yes, thank you. The Prime Minister going to Tobago. The Prime Minister flying all over the world. But he refused to go in a meeting when Grenada had to defend $70 million. They had to get an extension on time. We have enough justification for it. A case could have been made. And I'm certain the institution would have given you extension. But the Prime Minister snubbed the people. He think he is a revolutionary. Come out from Daniel Ortega and Cuba. So he's a revolutionary. So hell was them. He snubbed the people and lost over 70 million. And then he overpaid one group of people. And he removed from the elderly, the physically challenged, and even school children, the money they was getting assistance. Because over the years, the National Democratic Congress encapsulate too much of bitterness and hate in them. So they believe if you support NNP, you're stupidity. You don't have sense. So they want you to starve. And the older people, well, they say them is NNP. The older marginalized. Because NDC is bright, smart people that have money. And they inculcate that culture. So it's very easy now for them to deprive the elderly of $150. They raise the price of water in the country. They raise the price of electricity. They raise the price of sugar. And they remove $150 from the elderly. They say they have toilet. The NDC say they have toilet. Toilet must be reserved for good people in Grenada, not the average Grenadians. And this has been the NDC all their life. 1990, go back and see who the NDC fired. They fired the people in the estates. And when they did that, some of the private estates fired their people too. They get a good opportunity to make them go without money. In 2008, what did the National Democratic Congress do? They fired the money. The same people they promised to give $1,000. The same people they use an elderly man to advertise the program. They say the man grieve and dead. Because them NNP say, you get it. You get the pay. He grieve. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, my daughter.
We're telling you, I listen some people on the radio, Grenada, and calling the program. And I'll tell you, I like to hear people talk with sense. Only one person what talk with sense there, you know. One person. I clap when that man talk, you know. That man maybe not like if he's a NEC, but he talking talking like you close marketing board. You say you realizing how you using your word to bring it back to how it was. You don't bring it back to how it was. You just to do what you want to do. Let go workers and taking a few workers. And the few workers to do only the storage work. What about I listen to the union in favor of the government.
Yeah, they're in favor of closing it down.
In favor of him.
Yeah, I listen to them. As far as they're concerned, once the workers get paid,
you don't concern about what's going on.
No.
If they're in favor of the workers, when they do what they have to do with the workers.
Well, that is the most dumb union I ever hear. Because when you fire workers, the union lose 100 workers, they may never get back.
You don't care about that.
No.
That's why only dollars and cents. A lot of them. They don't there for the people. Dollars and cents. Because if you let go your workers and them, you don't getting money from them again. You check it out. How the others was, they don't get the money now. How you let go all these people and them? What they surviving by? Because if you sit down all these years, because you don't have a government where you could just leave and work and go in and work, right? So you don't have that. So I just don't understand what it is. I listen to the union. I listen as them people and them talking on the people singing song after we cannot manage the business. Why we have to have it there, close it down. And what
you see, one of the things they're forgetting is people.
They know that is it.
The purpose of marketing board was to help to market products internally and regionally.
Mr. Pierre, they're not looking at people now, they're looking at themselves.
Well, if you could take out $150 from the elderly people,
what you want to do?
And if you could give tax break to those who pay in tax, it tells you the philosophy, the psychic of the National Democratic Congress.
I love listening to people. I tell people, and I always tell you, I like listening to people educate me.
But don't get angry. You have to be tolerant, because you see, the picture is so big. If you get vexed for a little, you wouldn't imagine how big this thing is. If the government continue on that trajectory,
they have Mr. Joseph Day. Mr. Joseph, they come in and say, who they call him program? Mr. Joseph should shame them who bring marketing board where they are. He should shame to come in on the program. Why they put him on the program?
And somebody in the video was saying that, I mean, it's pure joke, but one guy just asked me something I missed. I'll say it after. Yes, caller. Yeah, thank you. Yes, that's one of the challenges we have. People must listen to the arguments on both sides and wait. When somebody says something that you don't agree with, don't attack them personally. This country is so small that you might amaze that our families are so intertwined. Sometimes it's son with your daughter. That is one of the challenges NDC have. Some of the people you find on the ground, some of the members of the National Democratic Congress wouldn't agree with you, particularly moderate numbers. Well, some of the high-flown ones like my partner Willie might agree. But within the communities, you're going to mash up all groups in the communities by the amount of people you are finding. For your political activists in the community, they turn dumb. You can't open them out because they don't agree with you. And it is not necessary to close down marketing board to reform marketing board. But listen, when people ask the Prime Minister about the farmers, if they will continue to sell during the time, the Prime Minister, without blinking an eye, and say if they have money, they will buy. But he knows they don't have money. And he knows if you get rid of his staff and you leave a skeleton staff, they would not be able to buy. And that's the reality. That's the difference. You see, because the Ministry of Education not making money, you won't close it down. The Mental Institute don't making money, you're not closing it down. Ask the government how much money they spend to pay airlines to bring people in Grenada. Farming have to be subsidized. Marketing board could operate better. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey,
After Mr. Pierre.
Yeah.
After Mr.
Go
Pierre,
right ahead, yeah.
Maxim Board there stands in Gary Days, right? And Maxim Board has its challenges during major island government at the time. Right? And I do believe if Maxim Board they had the problem, there are different ways you could deal with Maxim Board and keep the workers. Because see, what NMP did.
Workers is not part of the Prime Minister agenda.
Yeah.
Since the Prime Minister come, that's the people who are affected is workers.
Is the workers who are affected?
People have to understand. You might be slightly disappointed, but the NDC is never about the poor man.
Never about the poor people. Because what you close the Maxim Board, you send home the workers. Right? Okay, what happens like the workers they have debt to pay through the bank. Right. You pay let's say about 20 or 30,000 or different financial institution. Right. Not to say like pensioners, like they get that money every month. But when you send home these workers and give them money, let's say you get 20,000 and they owe the bank $30,000. What happens?
All these workers believe that have been permanent. You know? All these marketing board workers the workers are put NDC in point.
Exactly.
Because NDC create a law, they lie to the people. They deceive the people.
Deceive them.
And now they fire the workers. People have to come to the conclusion that the NDC policy is not for the ordinary man.
Not for the ordinary people. Because what I'm saying is that, look, NMP are looking at the situation. But what NMP are looking at, to think, close the Maxim Board, what about the workers? The workers will be home. They'll be home. Right? What MP say, like, try to see how they could keep the people working and try to help Maxim Board. But I'm sure NP don't care about the workers. But when you have a government, all what they care about the Maxim Board and losing money, but they don't really care about the workers. What would have happened to the workers?
You see, the philosophy of the National Democratic Congress. Go back and watch the history.
I know.
Every time they come in power, but this time they get worse.
No.
Because they want to choke you on the elderly.
360 degrees.
So they get worse. 180. Yeah. They get worse. They get 180. they get worse. Yeah. And that is the result of it. And I do hope no other country in the Caribbean take the risk that Grenada do by bringing these sort of juveniles and rookies. Yeah. I hope no other country in the Caribbean follow them. Because if they come out on that trajectory, Grenada will be heading for the lower level in the Caribbean. Because the Minister of Labor, she said we're going to cause irreparable damage. Let us be straight with the people. And Deacon Mitchell don't seem to understand that. He's not very sensitive to the needs of the elderly or the marginalized. He doesn't care. So the time has come, I believe, for Grenada to try a new Minister of Finance. Maybe they have to encourage Deacon Mitchell to vacate the post. Give somebody else the post for finance. You generally and basically incapable. The destruction that you have caused so far, no other leader, no other finance minister in the last 5 decades have done more damage to the Ministry of Finance and the country than the present one. We're back with you tomorrow again. I must say again, happy Valentine, everybody. Share the love, talk about it, discuss the importance and the magic of love in your own family. Let us start with our family. Mother Teresa said, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. Thank you very much.